Hello, welcome to another Cardboard Alchemy behind the scenes, hanging out with the publisher right before the weekend. I'm Peter Vaughan from Cardboard Alchemy. Got Rosie and our comms manager who's hanging out with us as well to help you get your questions answered. Anything you want to talk about, Flamecraft, Andromeda's Edge, Critter Kitchen, Mission Catastrophe. We can go old school to our first game. New games that we're about to make. You can talk about anything. We can talk about games you're playing. Basically, this is a chance just to hang out. Like I said, it's before the weekend. You can be watching this whenever. There is no wrong time to play games, though. So anytime we're talking about games, you can just apply that to later tonight. Hey, we got some hellos from the audience. Thank you very much. We are mostly a question and answer stream. I have a couple of topics I'll start off with, and then we can just talk about whatever you'd like. And tell us what you're playing. I actually played a game last night, so I can talk about so games I've put to the table, or in this case online play. On our Discord we have sort of a thing on Thursdays where we play games. You can definitely probably find a game on Thursdays, but you can find a game other times if you come on our Discord and say who wants to play something. I was about to play Andromeda's Edge with some folks, but we're making like a new version of the Andromeda's Edge mod. So instead, Ellie on our Discord taught me Apiary. So I've been waiting to play this game from Stonemaier Games and designed by, I believe that's Connie Vogelman, right? I believe that designed it. Or do I have that? I might have that name wrong, but I believe anyway that's her game. And it's really interesting. It's like it's a cool theme because it's bees in space. I mean, that is awesome. I had no problem jumping into that theme. But what I wasn't really sure what they were going to do with it is, how far are you going to take that? And it really is a light theme on it because, you're moving the queen ship or you've got workers, but then after that, it kind of like quickly moves into, you're just doing bee stuff and it doesn't really matter about space. That's fine with me. I don't need it to be about space. In fact, I take every space game we have and I add fantasy anyway. So whatever. We have someone saying also what you played last night, which is Dead of Winter. Oh, Dead of Winter is such a good game. I have so many epic games of Dead of Winter. It's actually when we talk about my co-founder, Brad Brooks, and I, some of our early times playing games. I remember we had game nights where when we got addicted to something, boy, we would play that thing over and over. And Brad bought Dead of Winter, and we went down the rabbit hole in that game. Some really epic games of that. I don't know. Brad said something to me the other day that he might not like social deduction type stuff. I wonder if all of our games of Dead of Winter finally just told him I don't like this whole. I don't know. Maybe Hidden Trader's different, but anyway, we had a lot of good games of that. But Apiary, to go back to it, it is a worker placement, and it is engine building, and it is tile placement. It has a lot of good mechanisms. It actually reminded me that it has a lot of as far as worker placement goes. If I don't know, Chris Strain's probably not going to be on the stream because he's busy working on Critter Kitchen, but Chris Strain's game, Asking for Troubles, has something that he shares in common with both Apiary and Euphoria, which is another Stonemaier game, which is bumping. The concept that no spot is blocked. You can totally bump. But in bumping games, you want to make sure the mechanism rewards both people. Why would I want to bump you? Because I get something that's even better than the thing you're going to get, right? I get to use the space. I get the benefit. You also get something. So at Apiary, interestingly, I believe this also shares a mechanism with Treasure Mountain. When you bump someone, I think Treasure Mountain, your worker has to be bigger to bump. This one doesn't make that requirement. I can bump with any worker bee, and then the person who was bumped off the spot gets to upgrade their worker to a more effective worker. So it has a lot of fun with that. You're always thinking about the numbers. If I have a 2B, then I can do something better than a 1B could, and so I want to get bumped. And then you could also get your numbers up. If no one bumps you, you could just get your numbers up by just pulling back. And I remember that Jamie has a video on what mechanisms kind of inspired Apiary, and one of them, I'm honored to say, was Luke Laurie's game, Dwellings of Eldervale. So Apiary has some things I saw in there that are like, ooh, that's a little bit like how we attacked Dwellings to make no turn a bad turn. Now, there are still times when you can mess up and I mean, not mess up, but you just have this unfortunate timing and your pullback is an unexciting pullback, but it's within your control to have really cool timing of asynchronous play. Love that. We're talking about how bees are the best theme. Should Cardboard Alchemy make a bee game? Are they overdone? We could always talk about that. We're not set on all of our next games coming. Let's see. Honey Buzz is more grounded. Honey Buzz I've only played one time. I actually it's funny when I made Dwellings of Eldervale. It was up for Production of the Year awards, and so was Honey Buzz at the exact same time. I was like, "What is this Honey Buzz trying to come in here?" No, but they have a really good deluxe where it's like fuzzy bees and everything, and then squishy pollen and all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, Honey Buzz is more grounded. I like bee games. In fact, there was a time years ago I was going to try and publish a bee game by Marcus Ross. He had this amazing bee game. Unfortunately, what we found, I think it did get published with what's the company that merged with Stronghold? It is I mean they acquired Stronghold. I can't think of that company name. They make Coup and they make other games. They were the ones that took on the B game for Marcus. But the reason why I didn't take it is because the component cost was high. Like I couldn't figure out how to make it like a good old $25 or $30 thing with all of the cool components, and there were custom pieces that I felt like would have made that game too expensive, which was sad because I think otherwise I would have signed it in a second. It was a really good game. If I could find the name later, I will suggest it. We're on B suggestions now. And a lot of people have got ideas for games now for us. Excellent. We'll have all the I could see, it's funny, Apiary does do what if I went to like say Luke and said, hey, you got a B game, he would probably have made a worker placement engine builder. So that's been done. Anyway, Apiary is fun. And I encourage this, people who haven't tried it. It was pretty good. It was accessible, and I think it was a good, solid game. And I'd love to play that one again. So the other topics I had was we sometimes shout out a crowdfunding game of the week. And so I have one that I backed called, it's a tiny one. No, sometimes we name smaller ones than this, but Earth has its sequel, Abundance. And when I played Earth the first time, I thought, wow, there is no game that is more built for me. I just really love engine building. I'm a big fan of big fan of what Wingspan does. Earth takes sort of the terraforming Mars and the Wingspan and then makes a nice simultaneous play engine building, which I love because I'm taking my turn. And something else I really love about say we play Puerto Rico is sort of I take an action, then you follow with a lesser action. I love that kind of stuff. And so this one in Earth, you take an action, everyone else takes the action, but just a lesser version of it. But that means, and Rosie pointed this out the other day, no one's on their phone. Everyone's intensely interested in how Earth is going to play out. You're constantly thinking about your engine, and as it's activated by other people, you're thinking about how you can do the things that everyone seemed. We played this one game where everyone just kept picking orange, which is the dirt action. And I was like, I had no orange cards. And I'm like, stop picking that. So I had to go get some orange cards just so I wasn't like sitting there. Anyway, the expansion is up. I was going to switch to the expansion on Kickstarter and check it out for a second so I can see where we're at. Let's see what we got here. So they're doing pretty well. 631,000 with, the more impressive number for me when I'm looking at a campaign is always backers, because you want fans of your game. 8,889 backers is pretty great. I haven't checked this out too much. I don't need to check it out because I know I just want the expansion. But I will say I also love deluxe bits. By the way, this is something I have not seen in a crowdfunding page. They got Mike DeLisio, and they tell you the rank, his 37th of all time. I'm now tempted when we launch Flamebound to go reviewers and be like, Flamecraft is your X of all time. Oh, look at that. Tom Vassell, 15 of all time. Woo. But they don't have it. Jamie doesn't have his rankings there. But it's a great thing to get Jamie Stegmaier to have a quote on Earth, because definitely, obviously, put out Wingspan. So it's cute. It has new mechanisms. And something that I'm trying to resist getting is these upgrades. By the way, if you can get Luke Hector to even say something nice about your game, that is something. I'm trying not to get tempted by these upgrades. Oh my goodness. But anyway, the gameplay is what I'm after, so I'm probably just gonna get the gameplay. But if you're back in Earth, I'd love to know, are you getting all the stuff? That's like a good question for Earth. And I like Inside Up. I like what they're doing. I think they've got like a really good vibe. That whole studio seems to be on fire, doing really good stuff. I'm looking forward to Terminus that they're making as well. So excited by that one. There's my shout out for the week. I always like to look at we're a crowdfunding based company, so I feel like it's R&D to back projects and always to be looking at projects. But if anyone ever wants to talk more about it, I've actually thought about doing some kind of like crowdfunding deep dive where we like sit and hang out and look at projects or something like that. I just haven't had the time, but I would love to pour over projects more. Cave for the upgrades. It always changes the feel of the game. I mean, I do believe this is why we make our deluxe products ourselves, right? We do love the upgrades. Yeah, they'll probably get me, to be honest. All right, let's see, what do I have? 2 more topics. One of them is, yes, we'll talk about our games for a second. We've talked about other games, but Cardboard Alchemy is making, you might have seen that we're making this game, Andromeda's Edge. And we put out an update yesterday, just to give everyone a preview of some of the things we've just seen. I've just been on a trip to China, and I saw not only the factory I was talking about, because we did go and see Andromeda's Edge on the print line, but I've also went to a couple other factories and saw Flamecraft pieces and stuff like that. So if you haven't checked out the Andromeda's Edge update, it's really cool stuff. Rosie edited some awesome videos of just minis on the production line. I mean, really cool. Get to see some of the minis like all the way through, because I was at the mercy of what they were printing that day. Something that didn't get shown at all, that I will have to make sure we do show, is building pieces. They were making, I think, the tail end of the developments. Oh, that's awesome. I actually have more pictures because I thought, well, I should show something new. I will. So for example, this is a picture of the Void Drake. Now, the Void Drake was in the update. We don't have all of the Void Drake pictures processed yet because there's a lot of cool Void Drake pictures. But I took this picture of the Void Drake next to a basket of oranges. I love the color shift. So there's the Void Drake. I also have a picture of the Ion Storms. Now, those I have video of coming up where I glue together an Ion Storm, and I did this. I was at the workstation. I wasn't good at it, but I did do it. That Ion Storm, hopefully no one gets in their game. But no, it's actually, the Ion Storm is only 2 pieces versus the Mortality Sphere and the Kraken. We have more footage on the Kraken too. Kraken is so many pieces to put together and a lot of glue points. But then, because I mentioned I went to other places, I also went and saw Flamecraft production. I mean, look at this. I went to eStar's print facility and saw them running an entire round of Flamecraft. And I have all the pictures from that. That was really cool to see. The Bread Dragon is just hanging out here in there. I have the cards getting cut and the cards getting sorted and the die cut machines and the print and the ink machines. So much cool stuff. And then when the Bread Dragon was done, I also have pictures of the Bread Dragon just kind of hanging out and relaxing on vacation. So that was my, I have more pictures, but Andromeda's Edge is where we decided to start and show some of that production. we will do an update for Critter Kitchen, and we will have a newsletter coming up where we'll share some more. And I believe Rosie will be leaking more pictures in TikTok, and definitely some YouTubes as well, so we can share all that fun stuff. Thank you for everybody who's checking it out and interested in all we're doing. Might a copy of Andromeda's Edge be at UK Games Expo to demo? Now, the answer to the word demo is probably not demo. There is a chance. I'm not going to say like absolutely not, because I don't have a strict UKGE game plan right now. But what I am bringing it there for is to get Rosie all up on, ready to go on, representing the game. Rosie has played Andromeda's Edge digitally, but it's so much more fun when you see tangibly what's up. And I'm also showing it to Lucky Duck, they've ordered a bunch of it, but they have not also seen it recently. Now, if I have more time and UK Games Expo doesn't suck away, like just the meetings to have, and there's a lot of things, I will be happy to play it. So I just don't know if I can commit to that, but we're definitely going to show it. So one of the things I'm going to try and do is find times I'm going to be at the Lucky Duck booth. I will open it up. We can all ooh and ah over it. That for sure. We'll have Andromeda's Edge there at the show. Last topic I wanted to get on, and then we can just talk about whatever, is I'm just going to do a shout out for game stores right now. My local game store, let's go back to, where do I have that picture? My local game store, which is called Geeky Tees. They have a little TARDIS out in front of the shop. They are moving to a new location next Friday? Well, next Saturday, maybe. May 1st. They are going to double their space. They're going to have, and I love what they're doing. I love them already, but as they just become more and more popular, they're going to have like 11 themed private rooms. So when you want a Blood on the Clocktower game, you could probably get a room that's like fits that vibe. There's actually talk that there might be a Flamecraft room, which if that happens, oh my God, I'm filming from that room if possible. There's war game tables, there's open play rooms, and you can actually, the event rental room that they're making is like Frodo's hallway with all of the Hobbit stuff out. It's like a big desk, big banquet table. And they're doing all sorts of fun stuff. And they also have kittens there for adoption. It's just a fun thing that a game store even does that, but you can go see the kittens, and they're going to put more into that. I believe when you walk in the store, there's bubbles, like the whole front of it is like the front of a spaceship with like space bubbles that the cats can appear in. I think the new location is going to be amazing. And that got me thinking about, that's right, they need a Flamecraft room. Well, I'm telling you, I think this is going to be the first game cafe to do it. But as I was thinking about it, I thought, well, we should talk about game cafes for a second, because, and I'll bring Rosie on. Hi.
Hello.
I'm going to invade London. I mean, that sounds bad. But I'm going to come to London, and I want to see all the game cafes. I want everyone. We're going to do everyone, right?
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, some of them are just shops, and then some of the shops and cafes, and some of them are like more like bars. But yeah, I've not even been to all of them, because there are some like London's like, there's London and then there's like London and it gets bigger, and they're like, we're in London, like you're an hour outside of central London, come on. But I mean, my local one, the Ludicrous, is incredible. He backs like everything, so there's always a lot of versions of everything.
That's what I like about Geeky Tees too. They are one of the Kickstarter they back everything. Yeah, obviously they're actually kicking themselves for not asking for more Flamecraft Deluxe, because they're like, oh, that was a good one.
I mean, that description sounds unbelievable. The 11 themed rooms, the event space that looks like a hobbit hole. How big is it? Like a hangar? Like, how big is this?
So I don't know if me saying square feet will mean like the old one was 5,000 square feet. The one that's currently right now, and it feels like it has. You have a big shopping area, then you have a big event room, a second event room, a back area for D&D, and then an upstairs where you can play more games. It feels pretty big. That's 5,000 square feet, and they're going to 13,000 square feet now. So they're just like, you know what? Games are big right now.
I think my flat is 400. I think it's been a while since I checked the listing for it.
Maybe what I'll do is I'll go do maybe I could do a stream from in there or something, because it's impressive. And I think the thing about it too, the reason why it's doing so well is that we've had other board game stores in the area. We've had other cafes, but none of them have had that attention to detail. A lot of them have felt like, I don't feel welcome here, or they've only had Magic tournaments and there's just not like board game selection, or there's just been reasons why this one, which seems to be catering to whatever everyone wants. Hey, how's it going, Mark? I hope you enjoyed the update yesterday.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I got to stream from there because I think their grand opening is really fun, and especially if they do a Flamecraft room, I'll flip out.
You should film it, and I can cut it into a
Okay.
video. I get a lot of flack for only making videos about London places, and I'm like, I do live in London, and
right. We could at least get Los Angeles.
I mean, get Los Angeles in there. I think I've got one from like Bristol, but yeah, we've got a lot of amazing.
What we need to do is we'll get our system down, and I'll make some Los Angeles ones, and then we'll say who wants to give us a Seattle video, or who wants to give us a New York, or like something. We'll just get. I just played when I played Apiary. I played with some lovely fans on our Discord, and then someone was from Australia, and I had to resist asking all sorts of Australia questions. We could get like someone to say, "This is what my local cafe scene is like."
Yeah, yeah. You know? I think it's a difficult business to keep running. I see a lot of people starting them, and then they usually talk to people who run them for a while. And there's lots of like. Some people think they'll just end up playing games the whole time, but most of the owners don't get to do that.
Fun fact, did you know that before I wanted to be a game designer, I actually wanted to open a game cafe? I don't know if I told you that.
I'm not overly surprised. I can see that you'd want to do that.
I also had the location scouted, and I had a partner planned out, and he had a loan that he was going to get, and we were going to open a game cafe. I was really close.
Did you have a theme or a name? Did you have?
I'd have to go back and think about, like, we had names and stuff on the table, and then it fizzled because he kind of got cold feet and didn't want to like put down that kind of money. But we were going to pick right next to a college campus, and it was at the time when Blockbuster Video was still going here, and there was this new model sort of emerging, and I was thinking about how it was going to be like we didn't have a lot of cafes with board games. We had a lot of cafes happening, but I thought what I was going to do is get these tables where the top of the table was a digital screen that could go to the board of Lords of Waterdeep or go to the board of something, and there would be salt and pepper and stuff, and menus would have like the game rules and whatever, and you could be like, okay, we want to play Lords of Waterdeep, and when you pick it, the wait staff would come over and give you the pieces you needed. I was into this whole thing. I was gonna have fun with it.
I mean, I'm getting married in a board game cafe, so.
Oh, really?
I feel like it's booked now. They've got my money.
Okay, great. That's exciting. Well, I was gonna say, to your point, I mean, I could have gone out a bit. The thing is very hard. And as I crunched the numbers, I kept trying to figure out how I was gonna make money. I was like, okay, this sounds cool and all, but unless the food's amazing and I'm going to have people like definitely buying food while they're playing Lords of Waterdeep or whatever, or if I'm selling alcohol, I was trying to figure out how is this going to actually make money? Because the issue is, if I make it so cozy that you want to sit there all day, you sit there all day and you take that table, and then the thing doesn't really work.
I think, do they charge per session in your cafes?
Well, so there was a really one of the most popular ones in Los Angeles was called Game House, and it was on Kickstarter, and I supported them, saw them, built it, used it when I was launching my first Kickstarters, and they were not very well known, so you could pay $5 and then you could sit there. But then after everyone figured out who they were, you couldn't get in there on a Saturday. So then they started saying, well, now you either go by hour, or now there's like, you have to guarantee tables for 20, but it's like it just got bad.
Yeah, it's quite varied across London. Some places it's like £7 for, depends on the day, but it'll be longer in the week, and then on the weekends it's like 3 hours. And then you you buy drinks and food as normal. But the way that I've seen people succeed is they have used like meetup.com. I know it's so nice. We use like meetup.com and basically they fill their weekdays with groups. So they fund the meetup because meetup isn't super cheap if you've got big groups.
Yes.
But and my local one, you can't get in. They fill up so quickly. Everyone's on a wait list to join on a Monday or Wednesday or Thursday. So that's how you fill up. And they don't open till 3:00 because it's really quiet.
Right. It would be too quiet. Yeah. By the way, time you have a Cardboard Alchemy cafe and mini gaming sessions. I love it.
What would a Cardboard Alchemy cafe look like?
That is a good question. Well, we only have 2 titles released and 4 that we have funded, so it wouldn't be just it wouldn't just be like, hey, let's play Flamecraft every day, because also, I mean, what I've done with this studio, now that you can see it, someday I should film this studio. It'd be fun. The studio is divided into an area for our products, and then there's an area for just because I do back a lot of Kickstarters and we invite people over. I actually have a thing where I was inviting Grant Lyon over to play games, and then I ran into him and he's like, where'd that go? I was like, well, I got busy, I went to Asia and stuff, but I will put that back on the calendar. So I think it would be a lot like, and someday when I film Geeky Teas, I could capture it. I think the vibe I would want is a lot of what they're doing, which is themed rooms and fun focused. I learned a long time ago that when I host a game night, if I don't come up with a theme and I don't come up with a way that night's going to go, it just becomes, I don't know what you want to play. What do you want to play? And then we just turn into this whole like, how should we divide the group? And it just becomes annoying. So what I try to do is say, this is the theme. I've bought food to go with the theme. I've got music to go with the theme. We're going to do this. You're either in this game or this game. You choose which one you want. I don't know.
That's what I like to do. If we're doing like a big game, I did like a Stardew Valley board game party recently with matching food and music and everything. And then I didn't realize the friend I invited had never played it other than the board game. I was just
wow.
I made Junimo like apples and all that stuff. But yeah, I love like it needs to feel immersive. So especially around Halloween, there's so many great games.
Oh man, I would do a lot of Betrayal at the House on the Hill nights where we got the music. I would tell people, by the way, you're gonna die. It's gonna be great. By the way, Brad chimes in with another suggestion. The winner of the game should pay $5 to the house for each player they beat. That creates a weird I don't want to win anymore thing going on.
Yeah, there are a few games I think where you're meant to lose. Well, at least that's kind of like the game Last Will. You're supposed to spend the money the quickest.
Oh, I do want to play that. Like
I
a
love
Brewster's
it.
Millions thing.
By the way, you can't have dinner with a horse, a lady on a boat with a private chef.
Right.
And wreck a house at the same time.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know what?
By the way, this suggestion that Miho has, the Cardboard Alchemy Cafe with option to join in by stream. I did think about going to Geeky Teas and having some like regular segment there where I take I like doing this Friday thing. I could go there a couple times and run a stream and stuff. I did talk to that to him. Like I could literally go there, go through the shelves, have everybody on stream help me pick a game when we unbox it. This fun, goofy stuff we could do.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the difficult thing is when people get really into board games, they find a board game cafe and then they buy loads of board games. And I actually think I have more board games in my house than a lot of the board game cafes in London. Not as much as the Ludicrous. Ludicrous has a lot, but some of them are quite new. And so they're building their collections. I was like, I have more games than you have on your shelves.
I know. It does get to be, and this is, I think, the reason why you see whole threads of people trying to like figure out how to unload their games all of a sudden. Because when I first got in to the hobby, I had a friend who bought 2 of everything, and he like saved one, completely saved it, and did not open it, and then the other one he had ready to play, but he bought so many he couldn't play them all, and eventually realized he needed to host a meetup group and literally have people come in and start playing these things because he had just too many.
2 of everything.
He bought 2 of everything.
Oh, that's so he rich.
Yes, he has some money to spend on games, yes.
Wow,
And I was
that's
thinking about that
amazing.
strategy. I was like, well, some of them will increase in value, but some of them are not going to. I don't know
Yeah,
about
I don't think, many board games
I
increase in
don't think
value
so
even
either.
sealed.
That's
Um,
yeah.
I haven't got many games that are rare. Maybe, like, my original version of Arboretum is a little
Yeah,
bit more rare than the reprint, but
yeah.
it's also
His
not
second
colorblind friendly, so
his
so
second Glory to Rome probably is fine.
maybe,
Um,
yeah.
we also had this for board game nights I host. We create a WhatsApp group, and everyone suggests 2 big games, and it goes to a poll. Oh, you know, the only theme nights is Shelf of Shame, which sometimes you got to work through those games.
Yeah, I rarely do I go, "Hey, do you wanna play a game that we played before?"
Well, I actually had a friend of mine. So this guy Doug Ebach has been friends with me for a long time. In fact, Doug started my very first game company with me. We made the Choose Your Own Adventure horror game on Facebook, and so Doug said, "I love board games, but you know what I have a problem with? Every time I come to your game night, you teach me a new game. Can we just play the last one that we played? Because I just figured it out by the end of that game." And I
Yeah.
was just like, "That's true. I could see his point, you
Yeah.
know."
I have a
Um,
game group that I'm a part of that always play, like, one of 4 games. It's, Moonraker's Dune currently because of,
June,
like, the
okay.
popular movie, um, Oath, and Roots, and I'm always
Oh,
like,
wow.
"I'm not free for those games. They're too long."
You know
So
what's funny about that group is they're very focused. I can see this whole thing about, like, you have 4 games, you have a discussion of when one leaves and one comes back into the like, your 4, right? You could have
yeah,
a very strict rule about it, like, Dune, play it, and you go, "Is Dune ready to come out of the slot?"
yeah.
"No. No, it's
But
not."
is there a game that you'd go, "I could happily have a group of people that I only play, like, that game with regularly?"
Hmm.
And it can't be one of your own because, like, I know you're gonna say
Too
Dwellings.
easy. Too easy. I could do Dwellings in a second, because I would play it. Um It's interesting that you say that because I did think Arc Nova was going to be a game that I decided I'm going to just have people over for Arc Nova over and over and over again.
Mm,
And I still want to do more Arc Nova because I got the water, the marine expansion, and I want to play it. And I think that Arc Nova is one of those games that I would love to see the strategies, and I would love to like play more, and like sort of like Earth. I would love to deep dive some games, and that would be one, right? So
yeah.
Arc Nova maybe. The other one that I tried to do a little bit was Freelancers. I got Freelancers, and I thought Freelancers I want to deep dive, but then I found out that Freelancers is not built for deep dive. It's actually only built for. I don't think you want to. I think you only need a couple sessions, and then you've seen Freelancers, which is
Mhm.
not what I thought it was. I thought I was going to be like, you want to play it out. I tried to
Not
do that
Blood
with
on the
World
Clock Tower?
Blood on the Clock Tower, I would do, but I think for my taste in games, I don't know yet because I haven't like started running it.
Mhm.
I think those games have a shorter lifespan for me. For like, I mean, the consistency is what you should do with them, but I don't know that I would like it every. I mean, I say this, and I might try it in our Discord, and like, but I think it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be weekly for me. I think it would be more
Yeah.
like, hey, we're doing a once a month event or a quarter event of it.
I'd like a monthly Everdell. I do not play the giant box that I have anywhere
Yeah,
near enough,
you got to get that
and
played.
I would really like to when you just get the feeling when you sit down with a group of people and everyone goes, "Oh, I know this game." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Great, lovely."
Yeah,
That
lovely.
kinda happened at Aircon when we sat down and played Dwellings because we'd all played it. Like, I
Yeah.
played some online and they owned it, so we didn't really sit down and explain the rules, we just went, "Right, off we go." And I was like, "Oh, it's so nice when
Yep.
there isn't, like, the teach beforehand." And I know Everdell really well, but I need, like, my next door neighbors to wanna play it for me to have time. I need it to be,
Yeah.
like, within walking distance.
When you talk about that, when I first started gaming, I had a group that was that dedicated, and what they played all the time was Carcassonne. They played Carcassonne.
That's
Like,
amazing.
every Saturday night, they played Carcassonne, and I had a standing offer. Anytime you wanna come over and play Carcassonne, you or the yellow meeples, you're in. And it was just like, I love Carcassonne, and I did. I went over there.
Is
They
it
were like
all the expansions? Or
all
just
of
like
the stuff, and they just kept going, "What do we want today?" Then they
ah,
transitioned to being an Arkham Horror. I know that's a weird transition, but they went Arkham Horror every night or every Saturday or whatever it was, and I was like, I kinda liked Arkham Horror too, but I didn't like it as much as they liked it. I didn't like how much it dragged on, and so I do love. There's parts of it. I was talking to Brad about this. There's parts of Arkham Horror that I actually still really love, and I want to take and like put into design and kind of rethink about some of that. So, but then after that, they did another one, and so they did have this like focus that I thought was really fun, where they was like, "This is the game. We're doing this game over and over and over."
I mean, like, if it's the right game, then yeah, I'm up for it. I think we kind of experience that when we develop our games, because you get into this like replaying it space with people that know it really well, which is really lovely.
I hope that happens for people, because I honestly believe that Andromeda's Edge will be that for some people.
Mark, how will you cope with 2 games to play
regularly?
Oh,
right, yeah.
What are you going to do? We'd love to know. Do you have a plan of like splitting your free time between them, or are you just going to abandon one like a child and leave it?
There will be 2 people that if they don't love Andromeda's Edge as much as I hope, that I will be somewhat sad. It's okay if it happens, but Mark is one of them. And then the other one is Mike Delisio has put Dwellings on his like top. And so, yeah, I'm just curious to see what happens. Oh, okay. He's got back and forth. Mark is saying back and forth.
Back and forth. That you're gonna alternate. You're not gonna choose. It's not like Sophie's Choice. You're just gonna. That's what I feel about Creature Comforts and Maple Valley. The more they keep producing of this adorable world, I'm like, I'm not choosing.
So it's interesting that you say that, because we do run into that as a publisher too. We when we made Critter Kitchen, some of the publishers that like picked up Flamecraft were concerned that we were going to eat into their Flamecraft audience. We're like, no, you could enjoy both. Like, you can have this game and you can have that game. But they were like, I don't know. Flamecraft is like, we really love the Flamecraft. It's a different taste. I do understand that people get into this is the game I want, and that's cool. And I hope that there's groups out there that play Flamecraft that same way, because I actually when I was in Thailand, I found out that there's tournaments. I think I mentioned it here. There's tournaments in Flamecraft, and I'm thinking, wow, that is some dedication I didn't know was going to happen. Now that makes me kind of want to run a tournament, or at least, I mean, I kind of want to join a tournament and be like, what's this? We're doing a Flamecraft tournament?
Yeah, I really want to experience one, because I've never played a big game tournament. I've played like a Lorcana tournament, which are like, they're long, but they're lots of quick games. And I've played like Hive and stuff, but I've never done like a game that's, I mean, how long did each game last? How long did they give them to play?
What, Flamecraft?
Yeah.
As far as I know, they didn't limit the time. Oh. But I wonder if you would have to put in a stipulation that you can't go past X, because there might be people waiting to play. But I didn't hear that they had a time stipulation. Sometimes you would have to do that.
Well, I definitely think we should run some.
Yeah, we should try it out. By the way, just to catch up, Ellie has joined in. By the way, I was talking about how you taught Apiary. You did very well, and I had a blast playing that game. So thank you for doing that. And then we got Mark saying, "Can't stop playing Dwellings." I got you. I hear you completely.
I'm kind of jealous that you've just got this game that you just like know really well and play. I just have hundreds of games, and I'm like, which one? I can't decide.
Well, you're in a different. So like, I do believe next week I'm going to Hunger Gamers place, and we are doing a mini con. Sort of, that's what we've done in the past. We call it Don Con, because John Gilstrap is our collective friend, and we like to celebrate and then just play a lot of games. Because Hunger Gamers in the same space as you, Rosie, you gotta like constantly look at different games, right? And almost in the same way as a publisher, we have to constantly look at games for ideas. So neither one of us are allowed to be in the category of let's just love a game and play the heck out of it forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like new things though. I
also get it.
I have ADHD tendencies, and I very much enjoy new things and hyperfixating on new things. And I think
I do too. It's part of the reason why this job is actually okay, because one day we're working on this deep, heavy sci-fi. The next game we're working on some kind of like lighter cooking theme, and I think that that's what I like to do too. I don't know if I'd be like, hey, I can only have one flavor, but I'm always amazed when someone does have one flavor. Like if you talk about war gamers, and there's like I just know I like this, and this is what I want to do. That's actually it's a fascinating thing in and of itself.
Yeah, my dad ran a Warhammer club at school.
Oh yeah.
And I was brought in to help teach how to make palm trees out of masking tape and wire. They were like, my daughter does art, so she's going to teach you how to make palm trees.
Yeah.
And I made my brother like, well, he still plays Warhammer. He still, when he comes home from Thailand, him and his mates hang out for like stag do's and stuff, playing Warhammer all day with rulers.
Oh,
I don't understand what the rulers are for, but there are rulers involved.
I think that okay, so you know what the rulers are for, right?
Just for like measuring the distance.
It's line of sight and distance. So like in other words, if you're firing a weapon and it goes 3, like it goes this far, you have those measurements to be able to go, because there'll be arguments otherwise. You'll be like, no, you couldn't hit me. Like, yes, this ruler says that I can. That kind of stuff I could not do. I'm like, no, we're not getting into I need a ruler to tell me. But I understand it is. In fact, my son, I think, might really like it, because every time we go to a board game shop, he is interested in the board games, but he's always looking at the war games that are set up and be like, that looks really cool.
So does he like the Flamecraft minis and stuff? Like
he does.
He likes minis and painting them.
He's a fan of the minis, so
it's cool. Wait, do you have Warhammer shops over there? Is Warhammer global? I imagine it is.
We have shops, like I was saying, that I think the game stores that have it done as well are either too focused in something like either comics or Warhammer stuff. I think because Geeky Tees has it, but it's not the only thing they have. I think they're doing better in sort of a broader appeal out there.
Oh well, we've got a big Warhammer shop in Oxford Street, so I can take you there if you want.
Oh yeah, I want to see it. I want to see all the stuff.
All the stuff.
All the stuff.
When you say London's got a lot of stuff.
Well, I want to see the board game cafes and stuff are definitely the most interesting.
Yeah, we've also got a board game shop that's been there since the 80s.
Wow.
It's right by where they have the Harry Potter play, and it's I assume they own that building or something, because it must be, and it's stacked to the ceiling with games. It's very cramped and metallic, and it's called Orc's Nest. And yeah, you can get like board game magazines from them and stuff like that.
I think I saw a picture of Orc's Nest with a Flamecraft in the front of it.
Was that Tim Chuon? Because he went to it when he was just in London for like a moment, and I messaged him and said, "You were in London? Why didn't you tell me?" I was in it for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. I like what Ellie said about video games and board game crossovers. People in my local board game club are really enjoying Slay the Spire that just released. My partner plays Slay the Spire all the time, so I think we're going to have to get the board game. And
I actually had a fun conversation with so I love Slay the Spire. I have the person who's the publisher of the Slay the Spire game is actually kind of local, and I talked to them about how it would be kind of fun to deep dive more about how they got that deal. But then they were asking me questions about publishing, and I just thought it was kind of a fun chat. I was like, I can't believe you got this really big one as one of your first ones. But then I was, I sort of was talking to another designer who's making a Balatro like one, and I'm like, oh my god, you probably get a bunch of takers for that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like how we're getting board games becoming video games and video games becoming board games. And I remember Sharp Sit Down they do like a predictions for the year, and they did it at the beginning of last year, and they said, well, specifically Quinn said, I'm not going to put them all in on this, said that if there is a good video games board game make, then I'll eat my hat. And Dolphin Hands won Game of the Year. So when he did his recap this year, he was like, we don't need to talk about that too much.
I don't think he has to eat his this is gonna throw some shade on that game. I don't think he has to eat his hat yet.
I like it.
I just think I would play the video game. I think I played it with a group of 6 people, and we did have a fun time just chatting. We just had chat. It actually didn't matter whose turn it was, because it was just, it's a solo game. So it's fine. But I was like, this isn't, so it's really good for conversation to me. Like I wouldn't
play it with 6 people. That's a lot of people making one decision.
Yeah. And also to me, I played it again with 4 and we weren't focused. Like, I think you have to be like, listen, I don't want to tell you how to do your turn, but we need that over there. And I think that sort of gets into the whole alpha gamer thing, and that's not a game I would want to
I think Doug and I got it and played it 11 times in one weekend, which is rare for us with a game. So I think it just depends on the people playing it and what they enjoy about it.
I think 2 sounds like a lovely time. I think that game should be played with 1 or 2. That's exactly what I think.
But you've got to have the soundtrack from the video game in the background. That's a must. And I love opening boxes and camping.
Okay, so that part of it for sure. I actually looked at that game for a lot of different, like one of the things that since it won, and I was definitely curious to see it, and it had an achievement system. I mean, I love that what we did in Flamecraft. A lot of that was Brad's idea of having this, like, you play one and then like as soon as you unlock something and you can choose which one you unlock. I love that stuff. And in fact, if we did more of secret boxes and achievements in games, I would be someday. Maybe we'll make a whole thing where you're unlocking the whole game.
Yeah, Charterstone, another one that I just love.
The concept of Charterstone, I absolutely loved. Like, you choose what characters are going in your tuck box, you choose which one you bring out, and you have options, and this is the whole upgradable play and hidden secret stuff, envelopes to open. I just love that stuff. That's great.
Yeah. No, it's really
By the way,
cool.
we saw a hey Brad and a hello back. So there you go.
Brad, what game would you play over and over and over with like one game group?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm curious. And it can't be your own game. I feel like I have to say that.
Game, what would
everyone who designs things like can't be your own game. Okay.
I can guess what game Brad would bring up.
What would he jokingly say?
What can he jokingly say? Yeah. Out of it's funny because when we play a game together, I can generally judge like that's the last time Brad wants to play that game. I'm not going to mention those because we're not going to like throw those games under the bus or shade on them. But I've played some where I'm like, yep, we're done with that one here.
And you put it back on the shelf.
Like sometimes I agree, and so that's it. But other times I've been like, I would have played that again. I tend to be a little more forgiving of games. Like for example, I will throw one under the bus, sure, because I'm going to say nice things about it. I played Oath with Brad and Chris, and no one liked it. I thought, you know what, I would play this again because I could see some strategies and I want to deep dive into the cards they built, and I think there's some cool mechanisms. But everyone was like, nope, like we're done. And I get it. It's not for everyone. But
he says Power Grid.
Power Grid. Now, that's funny because I used to play a lot of Power Grid with Brad, and I do think that's true. He would go Power Grid deep dive. Yeah.
I'm sad that my first and only experience with Power Grid was so bad that it just put me off the whole game. I literally got trapped on a table for 5 hours playing it. And the guy taught it as he won. He was like, oh, by the way, this is the thing you can do now.
Oh, that's not.
If you're watching this, thank you for that experience. But like, it was, and I was trapped, as in literally you couldn't leave the table. It was like everyone was sat next to you, you literally couldn't leave. So I was just like, oh, and now he does this thing. And you know, it's like the order you get placed in, you go back in reverse in Power Grid. I think you probably know it better than I do. So he'd know what he was doing and he'd win. And I was just like, everyone there didn't know the game. It was just like, oh.
Yeah, I think that's, well, hopefully when you play a game several times, a lot of complaints I've actually seen on the Full 42, Mike, who's Chris's host on there, Mike says, I'll never play Terraforming Mars. Why? Because if I play Terraforming Mars with someone who knows Terraforming Mars, they're going to destroy me and they're going to go circles around me. It's the only way that he wants to play it is if he's like playing the same amount as another person so that they get built up together. And I can see that as a fair argument. Like if you play Dominion and you're in with someone who just knows those cards, you're just going to get destroyed. It actually can turn people off games if you don't pay attention to the way that other people are going to feel about. Yeah, I think some people are just like, I will show you a game and I will destroy you in it. And they don't even think like that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's bad teach. That's what it was.
It's a bad way to go.
I'm sure the game is good. It's very popular.
By the way, we had a vote for Smartphone Inc. I don't think I've played that. I think I played that once, so I may need to give that more.
Are you making? I've never heard of it. Are you making smartphones? Well, apps? What are we doing?
It's not. I don't remember enough of it. I believe it's more of like the whole, warehousing and like tech building and then like choosing delivery routes. And I think it's a little bit more broader than that.
Mehodor says, with my wife and daughter, it was often Isle of Cats and Villainess, but now we go for Moonraker, Honeybuzz, or Flamecraft.
Huh.
Moonraker is a jump between the other two.
Yeah, it is actually. By the way, here's the answer. You make smartphones and sell them across the world. So I do remember there's like this whole, you can, if you're going to invest in better distribution and stuff like that. So there's a whole part to it.
Okay, cool.
So as far as like playing something over and over, I do think that it can be really fun for some games to definitely deep dive and stuff like that. So
I think Critter Kitchen is going to be fascinating.
Critter Kitchen is probably, I think it's going to be one of the best ones for this because of the fact that you can bring in different modules, because of the fact that critics are going to change, carts are going to change, especially because you only bring out 3 carts. So when you get addicted and you're like, oh, this is really fun, then there'll be discussion. Do we want flowers and gelato and zoo 2, yeah. Or do we want flowers is really good, but let's put coins in there and let's put the mystery box in, and those combos combined with a different critic and different restaurateurs, different zoo chefs, different rumors. I mean, like that game, you could go and never see the same thing.
Are you gonna create like a BGG checklist, combo checklist or something?
I want to do something like that. I actually have wanted in all the games I've sort of made, if I just had the time. This is the tough part.
That probability guy could do it. The guy who wrote
right? We have a fan who came up with all the combos. But I do feel like that would be fun. Like, hey, if you want a game that feels like really stressful or like intense, where you have to get the coffee first, these 3 carts and this critic are going to make you feel like that. But if you want sort of super bonus scoring points that doesn't feel that way, then play these combos. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what I really liked about Sushi Go Party, that you could basically pick the bits to put together to create different kinds of games, like beginners, really fast, really mean. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe someone in our Discord will work it out, and we'll start to figure out. So people can give their like feedback, and we start logging it, and then eventually we're like, enough people have said this one is really, really good for this, and then we can.
I think Andromeda has a different thing, which is that there's just 18 factions. So there's going to be a lot of like this faction going this strategy. So that's a different kind of ball game. And as we started trying to write those into the rule book, it's hard because even in Critter Kitchen, we had started writing tips. Like if you see a 7, you should always go for it. But I'm like, should you though? What if there's a rumor right over there? It's very hard to like say definitively. So I think with Critter Kitchen 2, we should do a lot of playthroughs, show people what the game can do. I think what we started doing the campaign, we should do those.
Yeah.
Family mod, interesting. It's sort of family mod. We can look at like what is the easiest way to bring in the kids, right?
Yeah.
We can definitely do that because there are parts of Critter Kitchen that are fine. Like there's definitely the cutthroat zoo chefs. Don't want those in there. Those will wreck you. Some kids would love to do that too, but if you want to we can figure out what the family recommendation is there.
Yeah, there's like an unofficial Flamecraft family mode from Manny, right?
Yeah, we can ask Peter and Alex if they want to think on that, because Alex does have and Peter has a young kid, Alex has 2 young kids. They certainly would have fun with that.
Yeah.
What else I was going to say is the one that we're working on too, which is another could play. So the Whisperwood is a bag builder. I could play bag builders and go deep dive in bag builders as well. Even Quacks, I did with a group. We just kept playing Quacks over and over and over because you could change the rules, and that was always fun. Like, oh, this time I'm not going blue tokens. I swear I'm going to go this. And then even other bag builders, I don't get enough to the table, like Orlean and Altiplano. Usually what happens is we play Altiplano, I'm rusty, I get destroyed, but I go, I will want to play that again, and then we don't. So I would think an Altiplano game all the like over and over. Everyone would get super tight on exactly what kind of combos you need to pull off, right? Yeah, I don't know if you've ever played that one.
I haven't. I've played Quacks, obviously, and I'm excited for Quacks Duel,
Yeah, right.
I'm intrigued because you can play the 1-2 player, I think. So
Yeah, right. It's
differences.
fine. Yeah.
But I've not played Altiplanos. What does that mean?
Altiplano is funny. It's so it's the same designer that did Orleans, and it's so the bag building is it's actually kind of reverse of Orleans. So in Orleans you have to go through your entire bag before you see stuff. In Altiplano you put things in the bag and you don't ever empty it, so you might see this is the percentage chance of stuff in there. So it's a little bit like Quacks in that regard. So Altiplano has all these different location boards. Some make corn, and some you sell something to make textiles, and then another one you get coffee beans. And so you have like a lot of different resource engines, and like corn's easy to get, but it doesn't pay out very well in points. And so you have to constantly like go, okay, so I have one llama, and that llama, that when that token comes up, I can do this, but that's going too slow. Do I need to go get more llamas? And if I do, I got to prioritize going to get that. But llamas maybe they don't score anything at the end. They just help you with an engine of, fabric making or whatever it is. So you have to kind of like think about what you want to do from the get-go. You have to kind of like focus yourself. And so when you play the first time, you just have no idea you just go, I don't know what I did. But then the second time you're like, okay, so the game ended before I could get my warehouse full of gems to sell to this, and it's another thing where if you see someone going gems, you're like, okay, so we're going to have a whole conflict where one of us is going to get it, one of us is not going to get it. So you have to kind of pivot too with like what everyone else is doing, because there's finite resources in that game.
Oh.
So it is very fun, and I love playing it. And it's a theme that I think is more fun than sometimes, just because it's got a South America, Peru vibe, right? So it's just really fun to look at the whole, just like the resources and the that's not overly thematic, but it is just a fun theme to me. So
I like bag builders.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping is soon enough we can share what Whisperwood is like with everybody, because we're building something like that, but with magic druids
and critters.
And critters are going to be in there. We're doing critters again. Critters are going to be a theme for Cardboard Alchemy for a while, because Critter Kitchen has critters, and Flamebound has critters, and Whisperwood has critters. So I hope everyone's ready for
Not
critters.
A problem. Not a problem.
I think they get voted okay in the cozy board game category.
Love a critter. There was a question that someone asked about Andromeda's Edge.
Okay.
Will it fit on popular board game shelves? They said the box looks rather large.
Yes, it does look large. It has been exactly measured to fit a Calyx shelf. Now, I don't know about other popular board game shelves, but Calyx is what we sort of use as a bar of measurement. Calyx shelves are 15 inches deep and 13 by 13 square. And so Noah from Game Trace knows this, and we talked a lot about that and said we're going to make sure it fits exactly in a Calyx. Now, that being said, I will still proudly put it on the top of the shelf, as I think Andromeda's Edge deserves to be. But you can put it in the shelf exactly.
I think it depends on how much I need to weight the bottom of my shelf down. Because I was advised to put heavy things at the bottom.
Yeah. You do need some things. You don't want all the big ones.
I've got all my books at the bottom of this thing, so that's what weighs it down.
Yeah.
Will there be a game called Cosmic Critters?
We did say we just have critters for the next 3. We'll have to see what happens after that.
All the alliteration. Yeah.
Yeah. Originally, we had this thing where the first game came out was Mission Catastrophe, and then the second game was Flamecraft, and there was a C. So our Discord was going, okay, all of your games have to end in C. I was like, no, that's not happening. But it was a fun moment where we thought that the third game might have to do that.
My cats have claimed the top of my Calyx. I'll just have to organize my shelf behind everyone else.
Nice. Brad also chimes in, our secret, the factory has an elephant that sits on every box to make sure it fits.
Yeah, that's indeed exactly what happens.
Oh man, watch out! The elephants need the relaxed time. When I was in Thailand, I went to a park that was the elephant nature park where none of the elephants have to work anymore, so they don't have to sit on boxes, and they don't have to take people around on tours, and they don't have to do any other circus work. They just get to chill. It was a really fun park.
All of them really huggy, or is that maybe it was a different elephant? I think
No,
probably my brother also visits elephants all the time, and he said there was one that was really huggy with the women.
If I had had a banana on me, those elephants would have been my best friend because they wanted it. But I didn't, and I also didn't want to piss off the park with like trying to corrupt their elephants. So I just brought a bread dragon.
The fruit.
Well, probably should go now that we've hit an hour. I could talk about games forever. So if you guys think of game questions, burning questions about our games, or just want to shout out what you're playing, you can always chime in on our YouTube videos and or in our Facebook group or our Discord. Hang out, and we can even play games online together over the weekend if you want to find us for games. But
if you want to thrash me at Railroad Inc., I will take it every time.
I can't wait to play these Railroad Inc. games. I want into these games.
They're so easy to do, like just like bloop, 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 bloop.
But we can't leave before Brad throws out another question. Do elephants eat monkeys? Because monkeys are full of bananas, right? I now have to tell a story. So my brother has been to Thailand 3 times. I've only been once, so I'm a rookie still. But my brother and his wife went to feed the monkeys. There's a one resort that's got like a monkey hill, they call it, right? And you go there and they give you a bunch of bananas, and then they laugh at all the tourists that take the bananas up to Monkey Hill. And why do they laugh at the tourists?
Because they don't eat monkeys.
Because the monkeys attack you for all of those bananas, and they're aware that there's just idiots walking up the hill who have food. So what happens is the monkeys meet you halfway or sooner and jump all over you, stealing every banana in your hands before you've even had a chance to do it.
And your car keys and your passport.
So they were like, that's an experience. So they decided to do a different. So this is the thing. They didn't necessarily learn from that experience. They decided to do a second thing. This one was island with the monkeys on it. And this time they were in the boat. They didn't have bananas. And so you're taking a boat to the island, and then you can see the monkeys and whatnot. So they thought, we're not going to hold the bananas. We're not going to have any bananas. But other people in the boat had bananas. Okay. And the monkeys saw them coming and jumped in the water and swam at them to attack the boat.
Do they not have bananas in the trees?
Just like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere near that experience, because that sounds dreadful.
I love that. I mean, like, there's a place called Longley in the UK. Like, it's like you can drive through and there'll be animals there, but they just start pulling apart parts of your car. So they'll just take your windscreen wipers. And you're going, isn't this lovely? And we're like, that's expensive.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
Anyway, but have a great weekend,
adding
everybody.
The chapter to this Peter's monkey story.
Right. Well, have fun playing whatever games you want to play. They could be about monkeys. They could be about elephants. They could be bag builders. They could be space games while you wait for a Jabba's Edge. Whatever you want to do, have fun, and game on. Enjoy your